Late last night, social media timelines lit up with whispers, clipped audio rumors, and blurry screenshots that fans swear were never meant to see daylight. No official confirmation, no clean video. Just reports spreading fast. Reports claiming that Mendeecees was overheard off camera saying something about Jasmine that allegedly froze the room. And according to those same circulating reports, when the words made their way back to Yandy, the reaction wasn't loud. It was worse. Total silence. Fans are shocked. Not because anyone has proven this actually happened, but because multiple gossip pages, blogs, and commentary channels are all repeating the same claim. An off-camera moment, a private conversation, and a comment that hit way too close to home. The kind of comment that, if true, would change how everyone sees the situation. The kind of comment you don't say unless you think no one is listening. Now, let's be clear. We're not saying this incident is confirmed. What we are saying is that reports are circulating and the internet is doing what it always does, filling in the gaps with speculation, emotion, and sides being chosen overnight. Some fans are defending Mendeecees, saying context matters. Others are standing firmly with Yandy, insisting that even rumored words like these crossed an invisible line. And then there's Jasmine, suddenly pulled back into the spotlight. Whether she wanted it or not, what makes this even more explosive is the timing. Tensions were already rumored to be high, trust already fragile. And now gossip accounts are claiming that whatever Mendeecees allegedly said wasn't just careless, it was personal. Deeply personal. Personal enough that, according to online chatter, Yandy didn't argue. She reportedly went quiet. That silence is what has fans spiraling, because when someone known for standing her ground stops speaking, people assume something hit harder than expected. Emotions ran high across the fan base. Theories started flying. And suddenly, everyone thinks they know what was said, even though no one can prove it. So tonight, we're not confirming facts. We're breaking down the reports, the reactions, and the drama that's unfolding online in real time. Because whether true or not, this story has already divided fans. And it may be far from over. As the reports continued to circulate, the story began to take on a life of its own across social media, fan pages, and commentary channels. According to multiple online claims, the off-camera moment allegedly happened during what was supposed to be a casual, low-stress setting. Nothing dramatic on the surface. No cameras rolling, no producers hovering, just people talking freely. And that is exactly why the alleged comment has caused such an uproar. Fans believe that what people say when they think no one is recording often reveals more than anything said on camera. Sources online claim that Mendeecees was speaking casually, possibly venting, possibly joking, depending on which version of the story you read. But the words attributed to him about Jasmine were described as sharp, dismissive, and emotionally loaded. Not aggressive in volume, but heavy in meaning. Gossip blogs insist it was not just a passing remark, but a statement that hinted at frustration that had been building for a long time. Again, none of this is confirmed, but repetition has given the rumor weight. What really ignited the reaction was how the alleged comment, supposedly, reached Yandy. According to reports, she was not present during the conversation itself. Instead, someone else heard it, processed it, and later shared it with her. Fans immediately began speculating about who that person could have been. A friend, a family member, someone close enough to feel uncomfortable holding it in. And when the story claims that Yandy finally heard what was said, the response was not explosive. Online chatter insists she did not yell. She did not confront. She did not storm out. Instead, people say she went quiet, uncharacteristically quiet. Those who follow her closely know that silence is not her usual response. She is known for speaking her mind, for addressing issues head-on, for defending her boundaries with clarity. So, when gossip pages began describing her reaction as stunned, fans read that as shock mixed with hurt. Emotions ran high online as fans took sides almost immediately. Some argued that the entire situation was being blown out of proportion by gossip culture. They pointed out that without audio or video, no one truly knows what was said or how it was meant. Others pushed back hard, saying that certain topics should never be discussed lightly, especially when they involve someone who has already been at the center of controversy. Jasmine's name being mentioned at all was enough to reopen old wounds for many viewers. What added fuel to the fire was the way Jasmine herself became a focal point again. Despite not making any public statements, her silence, according to fans, spoke volumes. Some interpreted it as exhaustion, others as strategy. There were theories that she had been trying to stay away from the drama, only to be dragged back in by rumors she could not control. Fan comments flooded timelines, saying things like, "She never gets peace," and "This story refuses to let her move on." Meanwhile, people began revisiting old clips, interviews, and past moments from the show, searching for signs that this tension had always been there. Fans dissected body language, facial expressions, and throwaway comments from years ago, trying to connect dots that may or may not exist. Every glance was reinterpreted. Every pause became suspicious. The family was left divided not just within the narrative, but within the fan base itself. Friends of Yandy, at least according to gossip commentary, were said to be concerned. Not angry, not reactive, but protective. Reports claim there were private conversations happening behind the scenes, focused less on confronting Mendeecees and more on understanding how deeply this rumor affected her. Fans speculated that what hurt most was not the alleged comment itself, but the realization that certain thoughts may have been held quietly for years. On the other side, supporters of Mendeecees argued that he was being unfairly painted as careless or insensitive based on unverified information. They reminded everyone that off-camera conversations are often misunderstood when taken out of context. Some insisted that even if a comment was made, tone and intent matter. They questioned why gossip accounts were quick to amplify one side of the story without offering balance. Still, story continued to spread, evolving with each retelling. Some versions suggested the comment was about boundaries. Others claimed it was about past behavior. A few extreme reports even hinted that it involved blame or resentment. None of these claims could be confirmed, but the sheer number of variations kept the conversation alive. Fans are shocked not because they know the truth, but because they do not. Yandy Slide's alleged reaction became the emotional center of the narrative. People described her as processing rather than reacting, sitting with the weight of what she heard, deciding what it meant for her moving forward. Fans who related to her situation shared personal stories about hearing something secondhand that changed how they viewed someone they trusted. That relatability is what made the rumor hit harder than usual. At the same time, discussions turned toward accountability. Should people be held responsible for off-camera comments if they were never meant to be public? Does privacy still exist in spaces where everyone knows they are part of a public world? These questions became part of the drama itself, blurring the line between entertainment and real emotion. Emotions ran high not just among fans, but among commentators who debated where the line should be drawn. As the days passed, the story refused to fade. Instead of a single explosive moment, it became a slow-burning controversy. Each new post reignited discussion. Each reaction video added another layer. Some fans called for clarification, others for silence, and a few demanded confrontation. But according to the circulating reports, Yandy remained composed, choosing not to address the rumor publicly, at least for now. That choice alone fueled more speculation. People wondered whether silence meant disbelief, pain, or simply strategy. Some believed she was protecting her peace. Others thought she was waiting for the right moment. Whatever the case, the alleged off-camera comment had already done its damage in the court of public opinion, even without confirmation. It reshaped how fans talked about all three names involved. And as this story continued to unfold online, it became clear that the real impact was not about one sentence, but about trust, perception, and how quickly narratives can form without facts. The situation had grown bigger than the rumor itself, turning into a reflection of how fragile relationships appear under the constant spotlight of public commentary. As the conversation kept spreading across platforms, new layers were added not through facts, but through interpretation. According to ongoing reports, people close to the situation began reacting privately. And those reactions slowly leaked into public discussion. Nothing direct, nothing official, just enough hints to keep the fire alive. Fans noticed subtle changes in energy, in posting patterns, in who was suddenly quiet and who seemed oddly defensive. In gossip culture, silence can be louder than words. Many online commentators started pointing out that this was not happening in isolation. Tensions involving Jasmine had reportedly been lingering for some time, even if they were never addressed openly. Some fans recalled earlier moments where her name seemed to create discomfort, moments that were brushed off back then but now felt significant in hindsight. The narrative being pushed by blogs suggested that unresolved feelings had finally surfaced, even if unintentionally. Reports also claimed that Mendeecees, at least behind the scenes, was surprised by how far the rumor traveled. Supporters argued that an offhand comment, if one was even made, had now been magnified into something far bigger than its original meaning. They insisted that people were projecting their own assumptions onto a situation they did not witness. Still, others countered that words spoken in private can still reveal hidden truths, especially when they align with existing tension. Yandy, according to circulating chatter, found herself at the center of conflicting advice. Some voices encouraged her to address the rumor head-on, believing clarity would stop speculation. Others urged her to protect her emotional space and avoid feeding a narrative built on assumptions. Fans began debating which approach suited her best, often speaking as if they knew her personally. Emotions ran high as people inserted their own experiences into her silence. Meanwhile, Jasmine's absence from the conversation only deepened curiosity. Her lack of response was interpreted in multiple ways. Some fans believed she was choosing peace over chaos, refusing to validate rumors by reacting. Others suggested she was hurt, blindsided by once again being discussed without her consent. Comment sections filled with messages of sympathy, frustration, and speculation, all directed at someone who had not said a word. The family was left divided in the eyes of the public, not because of confirmed conflict, but because of how quickly people assigned roles. Mendeecees became the alleged speaker, Yandy the stunned listener, Jasmine the silent subject. These roles hardened as the story spread, making it harder for nuance to exist. Once a narrative takes hold, fans often resist anything that complicates it. Some commentary channels went further, suggesting that the situation reopened trust issues between Yandy and Mendeecees. Again, no proof, just analysis layered on rumor. Discussions emerged about what trust looks like when private thoughts are shared elsewhere. Viewers debated whether the pain came from the words themselves or from hearing them secondhand. Many agreed that learning something indirectly can feel more damaging than hearing it directly. At the same time, defenders of the relationship argued that long-term partnerships survive far worse than internet gossip. They reminded viewers that public relationships endure constant scrutiny and that not every rumor signals a breaking point. Still, those voices were often drowned out by more sensational takes. Scandal travels faster than reassurance, especially when emotions are involved. What kept this story alive was how relatable it felt. Fans connected to the idea of overheard comments, misunderstood intentions, and the sting of words repeated without context. Social media became a space where people shared similar experiences, turning the rumor into a mirror of their own lives. This emotional investment blurred the line between entertainment and personal reflection. As discussions continued, tension shifted toward accountability and boundaries. Should someone apologize for something said privately if it causes public harm? Does intent outweigh impact? These questions fueled long comment threads with no clear answers. The drama evolved from gossip into debate, giving it depth that kept viewers engaged. According to reports, those close to Yandy were focused on her well-being rather than public perception. Gossip suggested that conversations behind closed doors centered on how to move forward, not on defending against every rumor. This approach was praised by some fans and criticized by others who wanted immediate clarity. The divide in expectations reflected how differently people process conflict. Mendeecees' supporters continued to stress the danger of assuming guilt based on repetition. They argued that gossip culture rewards outrage over accuracy, and that anyone could become a target under the right conditions. Their frustration grew as headlines became more dramatic with each retelling. Fans are shocked, they said, but shock does not equal truth. Yet, despite calls for caution, the story refused to slow down. Every reaction video, every speculative post added another layer. The lack of confirmation became part of the intrigue. People kept watching not because they knew what happened, but because they wanted resolution. The uncertainty itself became addictive by this point. The rumor had transformed into something larger than an off-camera comment. It symbolized unresolved tension, public pressure, and the fragile balance between privacy and exposure. Even those who doubted the story admitted that it raised uncomfortable questions about how easily words can be weaponized. Once they leave a private space, .am, as the online conversation continued to evolve. One thing became clear to fans watching closely. Regardless of what was actually said, the impact of the rumor was real. Relationships were being analyzed, motives questioned, and emotions stirred, all without a single verified clip. The drama had entered a phase where perception mattered more than proof. And that shift would shape everything that followed as the rumor settled into the public consciousness. A noticeable shift occurred in how fans talked about the situation. The conversation moved away from the original alleged comment and toward the emotional aftermath it supposedly created. People were no longer asking what exactly was said, but what it meant. Speculation deepened and interpretations became more intense. Emotions ran high as viewers tried to read between invisible lines, according to ongoing reports. Yandy's inner circle was said to be paying close attention to how the narrative was affecting her mentally. Gossip pages claimed she appeared more reserved, more guarded, at least compared to her usual presence. Fans analyzed every appearance, every clip, every social post, searching for hidden messages. A smile was seen as forced. Silence was seen as pain. Neutrality was no longer an option in the eyes of the audience at the same time. Commentary around Mendeecees became increasingly polarized. Some viewers insisted that the rumor was being used to frame him unfairly, turning a private moment into a public trial. They argued that people were projecting old storylines onto a new situation. Others felt that even unconfirmed reports can reveal patterns, especially when similar issues have surfaced before. The back and forth intensified. Leaving little room for balance, Jasmine's single quotes as role in the narrative continued to grow without her participation. Her name trended in comment sections, reaction videos, and speculation threads, even though she remained silent. Fans debated whether that silence was strength or sadness. Some believed she was protecting herself from further damage. Others thought she was hurt by once again being discussed without control. Either way, her absence added emotional weight to the story. The family was left divided in the public imagination, with fans drawing emotional maps of who stood where. Some claimed loyalty lines were shifting. Others believed nothing had changed behind the scenes and that the audience was creating drama where there was none. Still, the intensity of discussion suggested that viewers felt personally invested, as if they were watching a slow-moving emotional reveal. Reports began to suggest that conversations were happening privately between Yandy and Mendeecees, focused less on blame and more on understanding. Gossip pages framed these talks as tense but calm, emphasizing reflection over confrontation. Fans reacted strongly to this idea. Some praised the maturity of handling conflict quietly. Others demanded accountability, believing silence only empowered rumors as more days passed without a public response. Theories became more elaborate. Some fans speculated that Yandy was weighing whether addressing the rumor would bring relief or open new wounds. Others thought she was waiting for the story to burn out on its own. Every possibility was debated, often with conviction. Despite the lack of confirmation, the emotional stakes rose as fans began sharing personal stories in comment sections, comparing the situation to moments when they learned something about a partner secondhand. Those stories amplified empathy for Yandy and added realism to the narrative. The rumor stopped being just celebrity gossip and started to feel like a shared emotional experience. Meanwhile, supporters of Mendeecees expressed frustration at what they saw as selective outrage. They questioned why similar rumors in the past faded quickly while this one gained traction. Some pointed out that gossip culture often chooses villains before facts emerge. They urged viewers to consider how easily reputations can be shaped by repetition. Alone, that the tension between belief and doubt created a constant pull that kept audiences watching. Every new reaction video promised insight. Every commentary post hinted at behind-the-scenes knowledge. Fans are shocked not because of what they know, but because of how little is actually confirmed. That uncertainty fueled endless discussion. Jasmine's continued silence became a statement in itself, at least according to fans. Some interpreted it as refusal to engage in narratives built without her voice. Others worried that she was being emotionally affected while choosing not to speak. Speculation about her well-being added another layer of concern to an already charged situation. As the story evolved, questions about responsibility surfaced again. Does silence protect peace or invite misinterpretation? Should public figures clarify rumors even when they are? Untrue. These questions sparked debates that extended beyond this situation, touching on the broader culture of public scrutiny. According to reports, those close to the situation were said to be exhausted by the constant noise. Gossip claimed that the focus had shifted from damage control to emotional care. Fans reacted with mixed feelings, some respecting the boundary, others feeling entitled to answers. The divide reflected how differently people view access to public lives. The narrative also began influencing how past moments were remembered. Scenes that once felt neutral were now reinterpreted through the lens of current rumors. Fans rewatched old footage with new assumptions, reinforcing beliefs they already held. This retroactive storytelling strengthened the drama. Even without new information, as online discussions continued, it became clear that the rumor had reshaped perception more than reality. Relationships were being judged, motives questioned, and emotions amplified through commentary rather than evidence. The power of suggestion proved stronger than facts ever could by this stage. The story was no longer about a single off-camera comment. It had become a case study in how quickly narratives grow when silence meets speculation. Viewers were left watching not for confirmation, but for emotional resolution. And with each passing day, that resolution felt both closer and further away at the same time. As the discussion reached its peak, fatigue began to mix with intensity. Fans who had been following every update started expressing exhaustion, yet they could not look away. The story had become less about discovering the truth and more about watching how everyone involved navigated the pressure. According to reports, the emotional toll was becoming harder to ignore, even for those who tried to stay detached. Some commentary suggested that Yandy's quiet approach was deliberate, not passive. Gossip pages speculated that she was choosing reflection over reaction. Aware that any public statement could be twisted into a dozen new narratives, fans debated whether this silence showed strength or vulnerability. Many agreed on one thing, though. Whatever she was feeling, it was real to her. Regardless of how the rumor started, Mendeecees, meanwhile, remained a figure of divided opinion. Supporters continued to argue that he was being judged on hearsay, while critics felt the situation exposed deeper issues that had gone unaddressed. Discussions shifted toward emotional responsibility in relationships, especially when past tensions resurface unexpectedly. Viewers questioned how private frustrations should be handled. When lives are lived under constant observation, Jasmine single quotes S name, still circulating without her voice attached to it, became symbolic of how easily someone can be pulled into a narrative without consent. Fans expressed frustration on her behalf, saying she deserved space from speculation. Others admitted that curiosity kept them engaged despite knowing it was unfair. This contradiction highlighted the uneasy balance between empathy and entertainment. The family was left divided in public perception, but some fans began reminding others that online narratives rarely reflect private reality. They pointed out that relationships often contain layers unseen by audiences. These voices encouraged patience, urging viewers to remember that rumors are not resolutions. Still, patience was in short supply as emotions continued to run high as days passed. New stories stopped appearing, yet conversation remained intense. The absence of updates became its own topic. People wondered whether the silence meant the issue had been resolved privately or simply set aside. Speculation filled the gap where information was missing. Keeping the Cycle Alive commentary began focusing on lessons rather than accusations. Discussions about communication, trust, and boundaries surfaced, framed through the lens of the rumor but applicable to anyone. Fans shared thoughts on how misunderstandings escalate when third parties get involved. This shift gave the drama a reflective tone, even as uncertainty lingered, according to reports. Those close to the situation were said to be prioritizing emotional grounding over public image. Gossip claimed that the focus was on moving forward rather than proving anyone right or wrong. This idea resonated with some viewers who appreciated the emphasis on well-being. Others, however, felt unsatisfied without clear answers. The story's endurance highlighted how narratives evolve when fueled by emotion rather than evidence. A single unverified claim had grown into a multifaceted drama, complete with sides, theories, and emotional investment. Fans are shocked not by new revelations, but by how deeply the rumor affected their perception of familiar faces. Eventually, some viewers began stepping back, acknowledging that the intensity of their reactions said as much about themselves as it did about the story. This self-awareness softened certain conversations even as others remained heated. The community appeared split between those seeking closure and those ready to let the story fade. As attention slowly shifted elsewhere, the lingering impact remained. Trust had been questioned, emotions stirred, and relationships scrutinized. Even without confirmation, the rumor left an imprint on how people viewed the dynamics involved. It served as a reminder of how fragile narratives can be under constant spotlight by the time discussion began to quiet. The situation had transformed from gossip into reflection. Viewers were left considering how quickly words can travel, how easily silence can be interpreted, and how public life magnifies private moments. The drama did not end with a clear answer, but with a shared understanding that perception can shape reality just as powerfully as truth. And so, the story settled into memory not as a confirmed incident, but as a moment that exposed the emotional ripple effects of rumor culture. It left behind questions rather than conclusions, inviting audiences to think about where curiosity ends and empathy should begin. As the dust slowly settles, one thing is clear. This story became bigger than any single comment, bigger than any rumor, and bigger than one off-camera moment. It turned into a reflection of how quickly narratives form, how emotions get pulled in, and how easily speculation can blur the line between what is known and what is assumed. Fans are still divided. Questions remain unanswered. And the silence from those involved continues to invite interpretation rather than closure. Now, this is where you come in. What do you think really happened behind the scenes? Do you believe these circulating reports point to deeper tension? Or is this another example of gossip spiraling out of control? Put yourself in Yandy's position. Would you address the rumor publicly or protect your peace and stay silent? And if you were Mendeecees, how would you handle words that were never meant to leave a private space? Scroll down and let your voice be heard. Drop your thoughts in the comments because your perspective adds to the conversation. If this kind of real-time drama breakdown keeps you engaged, make sure you hit like to support the channel. Your support tells us to keep covering the stories everyone is talking about but no one is confirming. And if you do not want to miss the next update, the next rumor, or the next emotional twist that has the internet buzzing, subscribe and turn on notifications right now. That way you stay ahead of the conversation instead of hearing about it later. This is where stories unfold, reactions get real, and the drama never sleeps.